Welcome everyone to this full moon Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for May 20th through the 22nd of 2016. I'm Athen, and this is for Sidereal. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link because the signs are different. All right, so we do have a full moon on Saturday, which is going to be right on the cusp between Libra and Scorpio, conjoining up to Mars retrograde, opposing up to Venus over there in Taurus. So one way to kind of give a synopsis of what this full moon I think really is symbolizing and what it's really about here is about balance. And this is what Libra symbolizes. And it's also this opposition between Mars, the masculine side of ourselves, which is really going to be illuminated at this time, which we are reflecting on, where we're putting our energy, what are our desires, how can we be more independent in our life. And that's opposing up to Venus, naturally ruling Libra, which is more about receptivity. It's more about mutual understanding, mutual respect, right? So combining these two elements in our life. And this is both externally, such as in our interpersonal relationships, right? Having that mutuality, but internally as well. And in other areas, where can we have more balance? And that's what Libra is about combining the yin-yang. The masculine, the feminine, even positive, negative, anything that is dual in nature, Libra symbolizes the balancing of that. Because this is really the transformation process, isn't it? And this is where we get into Scorpio, which is once we have this balance, we're no longer on one side of the scale or the other, just seeking the positive, for example, or just seeking the negative, for example. We're understanding that these are just two sides of the same coin, or anything else that's dual in our life. Once we come to that realization, we become aware of the third function. And that's what Scorpio symbolizes, the alchemical process of combining the yin-yang, the positive, the negative, without going to either extreme of both or of either, and becoming into a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of awareness, that this is about the transcendence of the dual nature of things, of the dual world, of the dual mind in many ways, right? So this has been a big area of focus because we've had both Mars and Saturn retrograde in Scorpio. We've been rethinking things in our life, particularly in terms of, are they really meaningful to us? How can we have more openness in our life, more intimacy? And these are things that, of course, happen first within self, and then they naturally transpire in the external environment, such as through relationships and things like that. So since Mars is retrograde and the full moon is really highlighting this Mars, I think it's great to examine and to see and kind of do the status check in terms of first of all, where have we been putting our energy? Is it truly meaningful? And this reflection with this Mars retrograde is really showing us a lot more about ourselves. It's showing us a lot more about where we can take a proactive approach in our life because it has that truth in it, right? So this full moon, very powerful, and I think it's very transformative because, of course, Mars already is about the transformative nature of Scorpio. Diving deep, seeing the truth, again, seeing where we can have more balance in our life, which can lead to the deeper meaning and deeper connection in what we're involved with by having that awareness. And with the full moon of Mars, really having the awareness of the ego. What are these drives? What are these desires? Where can we bring that extra attention on self to balance the ego, to balance the self? And in that way, this is all about gaining a new type of understanding about our energy. Because these planets like Mars retrograde isn't suggesting that it's not an energetic time. It's just suggesting that it's a reflective time in terms of we're all individually learning how to better manage our energy, where to put our energy. And when we're putting our energy into things that matter to us, we are gaining energy. We're gaining that prana, that drive. And so it's a good full moon to be reflecting on because of the retrograde. And especially because Mars is going to be shifting into Libra as we go into next week. So this is going to be reflecting on the importance of balance and tact. And this is where we come into the opposition with Venus. You know, it's with all these drives and all these desires really being emphasized, Venus is here reminding us about the importance of balance with mutuality. The importance of having tact in our life. Having balance in the sense of harmony in our external environment, harmony in our internal environment. And with relationships and with our values. You know, Venus shifting into Taurus has been this enjoyment of the sensual pleasures of life. And this is all very deep over here in Scorpio. And this is a reminder that we have to have balance not only of what's transforming, but also of what we can be enjoying right now with all this energy in Taurus. Being grateful for what we have. Enjoying the material world, connecting to the material world, connecting to Mother Earth. And that's really the shamanic energy of this Taurus-Scorpio combination, is that if you look at any shamanic principles, there's a spiritual side of it, but not without the natural side of it. We can't have transformation if we're not connected to Earth, if we're not connected to our senses. And likewise, we can't cultivate abundance in our life and more enjoyments if we don't have a deeper connection to spirit or to our soul, to the etheric, to the spiritual side of life, that transformation process. We've got to be willing to change. We've got to be willing to dive deep, see what those true deep values are, because this is all about an axis of desire. And this is the deeper desire of transcendence, of freedom, of spiritual freedom that can be had through that accessing of the third. And here the desire of the material world. But they're really one and the same thing. They're really just two sides of the same coin. Because what is deep also has a material counterpart. What has a material part has a deeper counterpart. And it's seeing the deep truths. It's seeing what we actually enjoy beyond the material and what we can enjoy on the material to help ground this transformational energy. So this full moon is also going to be trining up to Chiron, emphasizing the transformational energy, because Chiron is associated with that ophiuchus over there. And this is about healing. And it's very supportive. I think this is going to be a very healing full moon. And I think a lot of it is in regards to this understanding about energy, about drive, about tact, about balance, about transformation and the earth element. Right? So that's the full moon in a nutshell. I think balance is the name of the game. Balancing the earth with the transcendental. And remembering that importance of having both an awareness of the ego, awareness of the self and the drives without going to any extremes, and an awareness of the material enjoyments without going to any extremes. Now, in the transit graph, I do want to mention, because this is a weekend report, on Friday we are going to have the moon forming an opposition up to that Mercury retrograde. So I think extra attention on Friday as we approach that full moon on the communications, on the mind, and on that more balance, because the moon will be in Libra approaching that full moon. So it's almost like the prelude. The balance side of it, the Libra side of it, is really emphasized here on Friday. Then on Saturday, that full moon. And then on Sunday, we do have Mercury going direct. So there is this pause over the weekend in terms of what we have been learning about ourselves, about our drives. And now there's a shift. Now there's a new direction. And I think a lot of it's about understanding about the importance of independence, the importance of drive, the importance of getting that physical body moving, which then leads to energy, and these kinds of matters. Now, of course, it's still reflective. We don't want to forget about that, but there's certainly this shift, and that's taking us into next week. Right, and a lot of it will be moving forward, I think, with the routines, with the work environment, if you felt like those areas have been going through a re-examination process. And do check your weekly to see which houses these are associated with, which houses Mercury rules, which will be moving forward for you, I think, going into next week. And this Mercury is going to be trining up to this Jupiter during the station period. So this is about seeing those possibilities. And I think there's more insight coming in this weekend on Sunday about what is possible and how we can start to perhaps implement some of those things. Now, the moon will be conjoining up to Saturn, so it's all about patience. It's all about having faith with the square up to Jupiter and Neptune, but working with that emotional mastery, being aware of the emotions, especially with the moon in Scorpio. This is where the moon, our feelings really get exposed in that deeper area of Scorpio. And it's about acceptance. You know, this is just same thing as accepting the dual nature of life leads to that transformation. All right, so I hope you guys have a fantastic full moon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all on Monday.